When the final ship departed the surface of Vian 9, none noticed the missing signal from Sergeant Elias Vance. Buried beneath layers of scorched rock and ash, his beacon had flickered faintly, overwhelmed by the static storm from orbital bombardments. Humanity had declared the war against the Vioni species won, a war waged not for survival but for resources. The fleet withdrew in triumph, leaving nothing but ruins behind. And Elias. He awoke to silence. The dust had settled. The oxygen in his tank was dwindling. His exosuit systems flickered back online, one module at a time. Limbs trembling, ribs cracked, Elias clawed out from the wreckage of a downed atmospheric dropship. And he was alone. Except for them. At first, he thought they were survivors, native Vioni, insectoid and shimmering in tones of deep azure. The same species the humans had fought, studied, and called hostile primitives. But these creatures did not attack. They stood at a distance, heads bowed, claws pressed to their carapaces in a gesture resembling reverence. He pointed his weapon. They did not flinch. He shouted. They chirped softly in reply. And when he collapsed, they caught him. Weeks passed. Months. Elias should have died. The Vioni fed him, brought him water from beneath the sands, and healed his injuries with poultices from the roots of luminous fungi. They sang to him, low, resonant hums that vibrated through his bones and calmed his nightmares. His radio remained silent. No one came. The humans had forgotten him. But the Vioni had not. They began to build things in his honor. Tall spires of black glass, etched with his name, or the closest approximation their mandibles could shape. Children were brought to sit before him. They watched as he spoke, mimicking his words. They repeated the phrase he'd shouted when first they found him, "Stay back." It became sacred. They called him Ila Ahs, a word whose meaning he could not grasp at first. Until he heard their translators humming, "Skyblood who burns but heals." He tried to tell them he was no god. That he was a soldier, a man. That the war had been a mistake. But how does one explain war and cruelty to those who had only seen kindness from your hands? They began to change. They mimicked his armor, created ceremonial shells with painted visors. They crafted tools resembling his scanner, though none could power them. They asked him questions about the stars, about his home, about the creatures that lived among the heavens. He answered, and his words became gospel. Years blurred. Elias aged. Slower, thanks to the rations and preserved nutrients in his dwindling supplies. But age came for him nonetheless. The Vioni noticed. They built him a throne of vines and stone so he would not have to walk. He tried again to explain that he was dying. They wept. But they did not stop believing. One morning, beneath the twin suns, a Vioni child approached him with a cube, a perfect replica of a human star map module. Somehow, they had recreated it using nothing but instinct and mimicry. The star charts it displayed were crude but accurate. They had learned. From him. Elias Vance, once a soldier, now a symbol. A myth in the making. His image carved into mountainsides, his words etched into the skin of acolytes. He stared into the rising sun and wept. Centuries later, when humanity returned to Vian 9, not for conquest, but for archaeology, they found a planet transformed. Towering obelisks marked a city with strange symmetry. In the center stood a colossal statue of a human in ancient battle armor, arms outstretched. Around it, Vioni scholars recited the books of Ila Ahs, copied from old suit logs and audio recordings. They welcomed the new humans with awe and trembling joy. "Are you of the Skyblood?" they asked. And the explorers, bewildered, glanced up at the statue, then at each other. A human had been left behind after the war. And in his solitude, in the absence of humanity, he had become a god.